Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stone Face Reaction. I'm Griffin, that's Theta, and we're watching Tokyo 24th Ward, and a lot of exciting stuff is happening. I think the last episode literally ended off with Blue confronting what I assume at least is the actual primary antagonist. Or at least like the inspiration for it. You seem to think like there might be more of them or a group, but I think he may be a solo act.
But he can't be, because there's a group of them painting his thing everywhere for him.
He could be very busy.
No, because we've seen one of them doing it. That wasn't him. I mean,
Right,
like,
right.
they pulled their hood off, and we saw their face, and it wasn't him.
Right, we got graffiti gang warfare, and Red like geotagged like all of his, and they make a message, which is goofy and silly stuff. But you know what? It works. It's fun.
Well, I mean, it doesn't play to us, because the words, or word, are in kanji, aren't they?
Yeah. So we have no idea, but I'm probably going to assume it's something along the lines of "you suck."
I mean, I'm sure if Do-Red was going to do something, they'd have a... I don't know, actually. He's a bit of a punk. He might actually
Mhm.
just say, you suck.
But I believe most of last episode was just Blue
Bread
doing a whole
focused.
lot of it. Well, red focused, really?
No, I said bread focused.
Bread focused. Oh gosh, yeah, it is. Blue bread, a lot of introspection,
And
and
perving.
just kind of figuring out what he wants to do.
A lot of perving, too.
We also learn that his father is actually a practitioner of Hamon, so this is taking place in the JoJo universe as well. Just keep that in mind. I'm sure that detail will definitely come in handy.
Mr. Dad or Mr. Pop. I can't remember what she called him.
Mr. Dad sounds perfect.
You know, when he runs in and administers the one hit of CPR that, everyone who's CPR trained knows.
Again, it's Hamon. It was healing energy.
Mm, I don't know. Someone who doesn't watch JoJo's, it's a lost reference to me.
Look, we're gonna get a season 2 here, and they're gonna start fighting vampires. All right.
I mean, you keep saying Ham-On, and my first thought is Weird Al. Ham-On
Yeah.
Holy, all right.
Well, without getting too much further into like JoJo references, so Blue at the end of that episode didn't really quite make a decision as much as like have it lifted off of him and attempt to find the middle ground again, which as we talked last time is what caused a disaster previously, or at least not as great of an outcome as possible.
I mean, he didn't have any decisions last episode. He figured out how to make bread right. And then
He
was
wanted to choose between making the bread or doing his super heroic antics.
No, and I feel like that was more of a build-up before of previous episodes'
Mhm.
inner conflict. Because in this episode, he chose to make bread, and then in the course of making that bread, happened to give that bread to somebody who showed him the right way to go.
Mhm. Uh, well, he did literally end it off with, I don't have to choose, I can do both. Like, almost literally in that statement, I think.
Right, right. No, I'm saying this is the culmination of previous episodes' inner
Mhm, mhm.
turmoil. It has nothing to do with what happened last episode, other than
Yeah,
the
yeah.
fact that he figured out that staring at breasts is a good way to make bread, or something. I don't really
He
understand.
learned that eventually he was building up the muscles he needed to knead bread, which was incredibly goofy, but you know what? We already figured he was pretty much prime condition anyway,
It
right?
doesn't make sense in the story of the world that the dude who's parkouring and climbing buildings and jumping off, the dude who's the Superman of the story, needed to get stronger pecs. Doesn't make. To me, I'm sorry, last episode was a filler episode. You could cut it out of the series and just include the last minute or two where a kid
Well,
shows him where this dude is hiding.
you see what his dad looks like. He could get buffer. there's a there's a lot of buffness to go on his scale, but he's the most physically fit character in the series right now, I think. Just like hands down,
What,
right?
his dad?
Well, sure, I guess it's his dad, but I mean Blue.
I mean, I don't know. Because I don't think. I don't think the show is catering towards this is all going to end in a fist fight. So I don't know that they're going to push physical strength over anything else.
Right. But ultimately, I think what we're probably looking forward to is how is he going to resolve this red versus green dynamic that's going on right now?
This red versus blue problem.
Yeah, exactly. They have two forts on the opposite side of a tiny little river, and now they have to fight it out, you know?
Yeah, but why? Why do they care? Why are we here?
Gravel. Wait, no, you're talking about Bisco. Wait, no, not Bisco.
So
Lord.
I thought
I'm
you said
getting
no.
everything confused
I thought
right
you said
now.
Nabisco. To be honest with you. But yeah, no. I mean, I will surely be disappointed if this entire series ends with a we couldn't figure out how to challenge Superman, so let's just have him punch things. If the last episode,
Oh,
I'm
I don't
I,
think they're gonna go there, at
I'm
least. He could get
projecting.
shot and die.
I'm projecting now that the other previous predictions that we've made, that the worst case scenario is going to be that Blue runs into that golden tower that we've seen and just
Hmm.
starts destroying stuff until he pulls what's her name out of the machine, her body anyway, out of the machine, and does something else. I mean, if he
Alright,
just goes rampage.
completely random prediction. He'll go in, he'll do that, he'll pull the body out. The body will come back to life for like 5 seconds and say, you've done so good," and then die. And then just destroy him.
I mean, you got to remember, we've seen her like astral projection. I don't know what the hell to
Hmm.
call that thing. And there was also
Right.
the other woman at the beginning that we haven't seen again. Like the woman in the very first minute of this show has not
Yeah,
yet,
the hologram, right?
which is completely different from the dead girl's hologram.
Is different from the dead girl, is different from Green's assistant, is different from the programmers.
As far as we know, and also that she's like, I don't know, bubble-headed fool or something like that, because she just leans over a railing and whoop, falls over. Oh, ow! Makes that motion. It's like not motion, that noise. It's just
Yelp.
not seen her in 7 episodes now.
And I think, as I joked last time, well, we could always get the Neon Evangelion orange juice. We could always get the orange juice.
I mean, it's not like the worst ending, but I don't see that coming from this
It
one
would be
tower.
it would be so goofy, but at the same time, it's like, hey, let's not resolve our conflict. Let's just orange juice.
I mean, it would be a resolution of conflict. I just don't think it makes sense
Yeah, if all
here.
minds are one, then there is no further conflict, right?
Right? I mean, I don't think that would be orange juice. That would be like the Borg ending, right? It's just everyone is mind controlled by their phones into being one
this
unified
this is actually
intelligence.
a Star Trek series. This is the Borg precursor show, actually.
Well, no, I'm just trying to imagine if they were going to force an orange juice, an Evangelion, we're all one ending. The only possible way that they'd be able to do that with what they've presented to us is if everyone got hypnotized by their phones into being a
Into a hive mind, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say hive mind. There's a word for it that I just can't remember all of a sudden. There's the concept of us all like integrating our brains into like basically the internet.
Yeah, human instrumentality, which is also the orange juice
Well,
stuff.
no, it's a different.
It's just a different method of it.
There's the concept of one consciousness, one human consciousness, which is a
Human
different thing.
instrumentality. That's
It's
that's what anime constantly goes for.
noosphere, the noosphere, NOOS sphere.
Okay. So they made a cool term for it. Got
Well,
it.
it's a different thing. It's a technological thing versus.
Mhm.
I mean, you keep saying human instrumentality, which is
Hey, Serial Experiments Land went for it, and they were all about uploading your brain to the internet too.
right,
So,
right. I'm saying it's a similar concept, but they're different things. Like in the way that
mhm.
other words are invented to make sure that you can tell the difference between one thing and another.
Right. All right. Well, we do have a lot of conflict set up. Last time was the down episode. This is going to be the up episode. Let's see Blue Punch stuff.
ってランの師匠かお前がカルネアデスなのか
いや、違うね。ただ知り合いではある。
I feel like that's a lie.
カルネアデスに合わせてくれ
No, it's because Carneades doesn't
と
exist.
は思えない相手だが。
あんたには関係ねえかもしんねえけど 俺はこの半年カルネアデスに翻弄されまくってんだ。それに死んだはずの俺の幼馴染が関
It's
係して
the Obi-Wan thing. Yeah, of course I know your father.
話だ。
From a certain point of view.
まあいいか。カルネアデスは今コルヌコピアの最上部にいるはずだ。
なんでそんなとこに。また未来を選択させるつもりなのか。
Oh, don't be two competing AIs trying to decide which morally future is right.
早く行かないと逃げられるかも。
くさ、おっとっとっと、そうだ、連絡先教えておいてくれよ。
後でランにでも聞いてくれ。
Let me get them
その
digits.
ランで電話に出ねえんだよ。会見に追われてっから。
ま、いいよ。連絡先くらい。
ああ、土砂降りだよ。
So what if Cicadas or whatever the hell his name is actually the mother?
撤収作業サボってるんだか。
Oh, that'd be goofy.
He took
Also,
the.
they could have been waiting inside the car, but they have to have the anime shots here.
I mean, he took his daughter from the grave. Why not his mother? I mean, his wife.
はい。つづら川の言った通り、母さんが作ったスマートシティ構想が家内システムの基礎理論だ。そしてこの理論は母さん自身の手で破棄されている。アスミ。
シュウちゃん、電話出なくていいの？
Because I don't want awesome
アスミちゃん
superpowers.
から？これってつまり。
あ
They're about to find out.
あ、アスミ、カルネアです。頭がこんがらがるぜ。
Head's all jumbled up. Yeah, that basically describes what's going on right now.
I think that cut of scene that we got there described everything that was going on. Where it's massively red, massively green, a little bit of blue.
A freak thunderstorm controls all the cranes to go winging.
Can't tell if it's trying to depict a hurricane or not. Like, it looks like the eye of a hurricane, but, you know,
There
that's
we
the
go.
safest place to be.
Control will be lost after a lightning strike.
タワークレーンが落下し、多数の人々が犠牲になる。
And now she's involved.
止められるのはタワー上にいる人物一人だけ。しかしケーブルをつないだ直後、その人物は落雷で死亡する。指令室
That is the neckerchief thing that what's her name wears.
その人物の命は助かる。
You can save the guy from the lightning strike.
It's not a guy.
犠牲にするか、タワー上の一人を犠牲にするか、未来を導いて。
We're right back to some classic trolley.
It's all been Trolley.
シュウちゃん、
They made a show based on Trolley.
なんだよ、どうして
Yeah.
カルネアデスじゃないのか。どうしてあいつが犠牲になる
That's
未
the
来
show.
が
It was
見える。
called Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.
かんねえ。ああ、なの俺に分かるわけあるか。全部本人に直接聞く。
But no, that handkerchief thing that around the neck, that's the same thing that Green's assistant wears when she's on the motorcycle.
Hmm.
でも今なら師匠、グラフィティ戦争を仕掛けてたのはやっぱりあんたか。
伝わるいい絵を描くようになったな。
Oh, that's a do-red. Never mind.
あいつは俺の本物のマスターピース。
思いが詰まった傑作だからこそ上書きする意味があった。消えてこそ価値が高まり、アジテーション
Your
の
pictures were so good, they were worth destroying.
でもあの作品は
お前に怒る資格があるか？確かに私はカルネアデスの知名度を利用し、グラフィティをオーバーライトし、人々の怒りをかき立てた。ネットメディアを雇い、グラフィティ戦争の記事で対立を扇動。当の彼らはそれがマッチポンプであることにも気づかない。ドレッドの敵は増えたが、フォロワーはそれ以上に増えて、
Interesting.
にならない。お前も自分の
Donations.
活動のためにカルネアデスを利用したんだ。
He's got to fund his stuff somehow.
Right, but
He's got a Patreon account, actually.
Is that wouldn't Patreon domestic terrorism?
Look, the revolution is going to be through GoFundMe.
The revolution will be funded.
It's highly convenient, but also dangerous.
Well, that took 5 seconds.
He's trying to drop a lot of stuff really fast.
I mean, it's fine. I disagree with most of his statements, so...
It's military tech.
Being military doesn't just make it bad. Used your microwave this morning, didn't you?
Diva, this is an Overwatch show.
24区の心と同時に体も愛撫が必要だ。お前にしかできないことで一つ頼まれてほしい。
I mean, he's obviously in the moral wrong in that he's trying to force people's decisions based on his own choices. Also disgusting. So I think there's something wrong with your spray paint if it's coming out like that.
It's actually Cheese Whiz.
No, I think
That's his artistic medium.
the more likely candidate is that he's like spraying explosives. So all of his spray paint things are,
Damn, that was a perfect throw right there.
you know, like in the Batman video games. He spray paints the thing. Not spray paints. He sprays the thing. And it's actually explosive.
Yeah, the explosive gel.
Yeah, that's the only reason I could think it's coming out of a spray can like that. Also, it also makes sense that he's, you know, painting places to be destroyed.
お前来てたのか。見なよ。あ、カルネアです。多分本物だ。
Again, it's the assistant. It's obvious. It's so obvious.
何の仕掛けかさっぱりだけど、クレーンの暴走を止めてくれるって言うんなら、何の文句も
I
ね。
hate it when I'm wrong.
やめなって。ヒーローは全てを救うとか考えてんのかもだけど、いい加減シュウちゃんも選ばなきゃいけないんじゃない？俺はクレーンを倒壊させない未来を選ぶぜ。当然避難もさせるけど、決められた未来を選ぶなんてごめんだ。俺はカルネアデスも助ける。で、ぶん殴ってでも、なんでこんなことしてんのか訳を聞く。
Even if I have to punch him.
I mean, Superman would try to save everyone too. It's one of his strongest features and his hardest faults.
But he didn't pick up.
ビジョンの内容だと直通電話でトロッコのレールが切り替わるはず。なのになんで電話に出ない？いや、そいつは後だ。
I mean, the vision also showed you that Asumi was walking around and physically there, so... I don't see that happening, unless he...
お前もかよ。
I don't know, goes into the tower, destroys everything, and pulls her out of the machine.
お断りだ。俺は何一つ諦めないヒーローになるって、アスミと約束したんだ。
Just doesn't say anything. Interesting.
Can you imagine if this was the end of Evangelion? Everyone's acting the same way. They're all standing still or shouting stuff at him, but he's actually running around. He's just a more proactive, whatever that guy's name was. Doesn't that mean you're already too late? I do love surge protectors, by the way. Just in general.
電子制御で自己防止されるはずのタワークレーンが今の落雷でその制御に異常をきたした。
Yeah, it's not how a surge protector
ビ
works.
ジョン通りならこれからケーブルを交換できなければクレーンが倒壊する。
The surge of electricity would actually disconnect the power. So they wouldn't be turning at all. Little old me.
Super hacking power. So he's literally doing
Movie
a
hackers.
VR attack. This has got to just be an abstraction.
It has to be because he's not wearing VR gear.
Oh, but he has his monster energy jerk.
He's deciding to start calling himself Little Old Me because he hasn't been doing that the entire show so far.
各種センサーの記録やら SNS
Okay, cool.
あらゆる集積データのごったに状態盗む価値あんの？え？はあ、そういうこと。
He's figured it out.
投票で勝つってんならこれは。
I mean, the most obvious answer is he figured out that Asumi is in the machine. Oh, I thought they were going to say he's running so fast, he's knocking everything.
Still not faster than lightning.
Not like the Flash is.
And who we got?
Called it.
It's her all along.
Also explains why Green is downstairs. Other than this is the building he works at. I mean... And we all know it gave Johnny 5 his own self-awareness. The lightning bolt.
Yeah, so he figured it all out, knew what was happening, and literally sacrificed them.
アスミ様の秘密を守れないかもしれません。
アスミを守れない。つまりそれは。
先に言っておきます。カルネアデスの正体は私です。
少なからず動揺しているが、確かに辻褄
How did you create a tornado?
目的は何です？
家内システムには重大なバグがあります。それをゴーリ様に知られるわけにはいかないのです。だから私はカルネアデスを演じました。バグをカルネアデスが起こしたハッキングの結果だと偽って。
待て。
I gotta say, that's the best and most amusing way to cover up a bug. It was a super villain who did it.
ログからの推測でしたが、正しかったようで安心しました。
俺はそれをビジョンと命名した。
ビジョン。ストレートでいいネーミングですね。そのビジョンですが、当然カルネアデスが作った二択ではありません。それは家内システムがうなされた結果の悪夢なのです。
やはり。ではアスミは？
はい。アスミ様の意識が家内システムに残留しています。
それはアスミが生きているということか。
どう判断すべきか答えかねます。ただゴーリ様はアスミ様が死亡しているから、その肉体を家内システムのパーツとして差し出す決断をされました。それこそ団長の思いで。
Oh, RoboCop method.
Yeah.
ゴーリ様がこの事実を知ってしまえば。
What was the bug? Sorry, I missed that.
トロッコのレバーを倒した。
I think the bug is that there's no solution to some of these.
But they did solve the first one, though.
Or that the system can't figure it out. And so instead of solving the bug and making the system figure it out, she all floated it onto these three.
But the system was never designed to solve the bugs. It was made to alert people of the... I mean, not the bugs. It was made to alert people of problems, not solve problems. Oh, I'm gonna give everyone superpowers?
Wait, there's two bodies there?
I think it stripped her out of the outfit.
Oh, okay.
Also, proper CPR. Minus, you know, I guess they don't teach you the breathing anymore.
And it's broken again.
Again, the power of a good circuit breaker.
That would be some weird determinism. Is specifically her coming back to life makes the cranes go out of control.
The cranes are already out of control.
Complete change of pace. Let's go.
Once again, why is she naked? Again, that was all in your head, though. You were imagining flying through hyperspace or whatever. So what did he actually hear?
Maybe the speaker's turned on. And now we have the most insane parkour of the entire series right here.
Well, yeah, basically jumping down, what, 50 stories or something.
That jump right there was probably at least 5. Oh, he actually got injured from that. Superpowers can't save you from a fall.
So they treated her, but they left her, and even the neck scarf thing is still there.
Look, the neck scarf is really important.
Apparently, they didn't have to mess with any of her clothes in order to save her life.
The irony, the dramatic irony.
教育者を目指したんですよね。
それがどうした？
母さんは今の24区を喜んでくれますか？
愚問だな。
うまくいったようだな。
そのデータ何に使うの？
私はこのデータで24区をハッキングする。家内システムを破壊するために。
Uh-oh.
I mean, I still don't get it, though. The system isn't designed to solve problems, it's to warn people about problems.
私の世界を破壊した
Demon.
悪魔さ。
It's probably like a mushroom on someone's head or something.
Alright. So, what do you got?
I didn't even realize the show had ended. I thought it just freeze framed for a second and it was going to give us a next time.
Oh yeah, you were expecting it.
My problem is that I already said it all in my head now. I can't remember what it was. You know what this means? You know what this means, right? This episode was action. We're going to end the series on no action, so the possibility of punching our way out of this has gone off the table, I feel. Which is a good thing.
We're gonna have an entire end of the episode with the philosophy of killing Asumi.
Yeah, again,
that's exactly what it's leading to.
The thing I don't get is that there's a bug in the system, and the bug is apparently that the system can't figure out how to solve problems, but a certain moral gendered problems. But the system is designed to warn people of upcoming danger in order so that they can handle it. So that's not part of the system's design.
I guess maybe let me go ahead and throw out a new idea then. The bug is literally Asumi having a personality and wanting things.
But that hasn't been expressed.
I think that's been expressed in this episode with her literally in her virtual space floating around going, I want to see my brother.
We've had 7 episodes now, I guess 6 episodes in this episode, of build-up of concepts and ideas and philosophy that I don't feel like, and I guess it might be more of a hope that they wouldn't just introduce the problem and that one scene that I have a problem with now just to introduce it now so that we have a climax and that the thing that we needed to solve this whole time was in front of us this whole time.
Right, right. In terms of other things, the twist of Carnadius, or how exactly do you say that?
No, keep trying.
Carneades? Yeah, whatever. Carney. Carney this whole time wasn't actually a villain, but was actually just someone covering up a bug they can't solve is hilarious. I absolutely love it. Rather than admit to my boss that maybe it's not working perfectly, I'm going to create a super villain.
I mean, depending on what side of this whole thing you fall on, could still be a villain.
Right. And it's interesting then that our artist Zero says that he knew who it was. And they did show the two of them actually meeting and talking, so I'm kind of wondering what his role in this all actually is. Because on one hand, she's influential or a part of like setting up these visions and getting them all into doing these things. And then Zero here is going to go ahead and destroy the system that she was using that has just the one bug.
Wait, clarify for me. Who knew who was?
Green's assistant, Isumi?
That who knew who that was?
But I've lost my train of thought.
You played the gender game at the very beginning of your thought process,
right.
and I don't know who you're referring to.
Is the assistant's name Isumi? I think it is.
No, the assistant's name was like Ray or something like that. You're talking about green outfit person.
Yes.
The one who's riding the motorcycle. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that. And who knows who is?
Ray and Zero know each other.
And Zero is the terrorist
and
white hair guy.
Yes.
And when did that come up? I don't remember them saying that they knew
In
each
one
other.
of the previous episodes, she's hanging around in Shantytown on her motorcycle, around and going in and out of the building that Zero is literally inside of. And Zero literally mentions, "Oh, I know who Cernadius is. I'm not sure they'll give you an audience."
Oh, right. I
He
remember
specifically talked to them and knows about what's going on.
I remember the part where Zero says that. Yeah, I remember that part. I disagree with you on the she's constantly going in and out part because we've already had that argument that I think she lives there.
That would be an even better excuse to already know the guy. Anyway.
Well, no, I mean, you're last episode you were like, "What is she doing there? She's up to no good." When she was talking to Blue, and I'm like, it clearly looks like she lives there. So I don't know.
Though I'm just thinking of like writing a narrative now, where just like, all right, so we've tracked the evil villain down to his lair. What are you doing here? It's like I live here. This is my house. Hi.
Yeah, I mean, Blue had no questions about it. Like, no, he wasn't like, "What are you doing here, pushing your motorcycle around?" I got some questions.
Yeah, he just kind of hung out and was cool with it.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not as informed as we are.
Well,
There's dramatic irony.
Blue also lives around there. In that scene, they weren't in the slums. They were, I don't know where they were, but they were in the general art style that was given to the buildings around them was the same as like the shops and area. It just was dark.
Right. To go back to the bug thing, so let me go ahead and throw out the hypothetical here. Let me think through this. So the system goes, there's going to be an accident here, and to save the most people, you need to like move an ambulance or two over here or set up like some police or something, right? That's usually what it does. It comes with like, and there's an event, and here's advice to create a minimal effect. Does that stack up with how we've seen
sort
it played
of?
Or portrayed?
I want to say sort of. It makes sense when you say it, but my thought process goes back to episode 1 when Green explains to us, the viewer, in the way that he's talking out loud, how the system works. And via his phone, we see that it just gives a percentage chance of something happening and telling you what that thing to happen is. And we don't get any we don't get any sense of when he's explaining it to us that it's saying send this many people or send this kind of response. It's just that Sarg shows up with its own response to the type of alert that's being given.
Right.
Like the example being that
but we are conclusive at least that the bug does involve like these trolley problem things that the series sets up.
I guess.
I mean, that seems to be the context.
She used the word bug, or they used the word bug out of nowhere, basically, because up until now, as far as we can tell, things are working as intended, other than the sudden calls. But it's been a year since she's died, and now she's just started to make calls. So we also haven't been introduced to what's changed from the moment she was put in the machine to now.
So let me ask you a question. So we have this character, we have the artist Zero here, and so we know his objective right now is to destroy this system that Asumi is a part of. What's his goal? What thing does he want?
I just assume he's an
because he
anarchist.
explained it during like the spray paint scene with Red, right? He's up there, he's like doing like 3 swipes and he has an entire mural like we're playing Jet Set Radio or something. And he's explaining a philosophy there, or at least some idea of something that he wants. But it flew over my head. What do you think?
It was a lot of anti-tech nonsense. Is most of it. I can't remember the specifics now because, as you said, he was going pretty fast. But I was reading it sentence for sentence, and it was all like people are being too connected by their phones and some shit like that. It's all very, very agrarian philosophies, is what he
Primitivism.
Naderist philosophy. Not so much agricultural based reform, but toned back. Like Nader, famous for being anti-nuclear power. Ralph Nader. There was a following around him called Naderism, which is basically just scaling it back. It's not return, get rid, don't become an Amish. Just, scale it back, use the things that we know are safe, don't start messing with things that we shouldn't.
Right. And if that's the case, to me that feels like a really weak entry for this series, if that's really like the entirety of what he's thinking of right there.
Well, literally, he said it.
There should be more. Should be more, I feel.
He said it. He gave the Jurassic Park speech. He said we shouldn't mess with things that humans aren't meant to mess with. He said that in the spray paint scene. So it's very much, like I said, to me, he's just an anti-technology anarchist. He wants to bring down the system, and it just happens to be the system is very much technology.
Does he want anarchism? I'm not certain of that either, because I'm not sure he's really expressed that. Like you said, the most thing we got expressed here is just, we want to get rid of technology.
He did at the very end. He says, what you can use this information for, to take down the 24th Ward. That's an anarchist point of view. It's not, I'm going to destroy the people or I'm going to ruin people's lives. The 24th Ward can only be represented by the government that governs it. So to take down the 24th Ward is to take down the government. So that is an expression of anarchism to me.
Okay. That's maybe a fair take. I would love for him to, once we get to the next episode, it'll become more clear specifically what he's doing. But that's what we have to go on right now.
Oh, I'm sure you'll get the standing on top of a building in the rain, screaming out his motivations scene. It's going to happen. If it happened in Blade Runner, I'm sure it's going to happen here.
All those memories washed away. Oh.
That's what I'm saying. It very much, and I mean, we've already painted it's a dark and stormy night, so if he's going to, if it's not going to, well, I don't know, they did kind of fast forward. I didn't expect the fast forward to happen.
Right. They were showing us the date throughout all of this. This took place over like a month.
I don't recall that. I was honestly not paying attention to the date.
It went from November to October.
Once they hit me with the bug thing, I just lost focus because it was confusing.
You were trying to fit it together, I understand. Like, they threw you like this awkward puzzle piece and asked you to smash it in.
Well, because the bug thing was not an element until this very moment, and the very moment that they introduced it as a concept, that there's a bug in the system, that Carneus is the workaround to the bug because I don't want to tell my boss we fucked up after we put his dead daughter in there. I mean, can you imagine that meeting, right? Well, the system's not working right. Was that before or after we dug up my dead daughter?
Sir, it may have been after. It may have done nothing at all. We just stuck some wires into the corpse, and we thought you'd be happy
Hey, you
with it.
probably don't want to mess with the guy who's willing to put his own daughter in the machine. You don't know if he did that to his own
Who
blood.
knows what else he'll do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do to me?
We'll put wires into you next. You could be a genetic disk operating system. Aha, what do you think of that?
I mean, I have less.
So-
I have less faith in the company with the super high tech machinery that doesn't believe in circuit breakers.
Right. I gotta say, for a Portal 2 sequel, this is actually pretty nice, you know? Um but more seriously, so this was still very light on philosophy and like the text of the story that's been going on.
Wait! Before we go into the
Sure.
serious, because you're gonna jump back to. Well, I keep making the joke about circuit breakers. It's not actually just a joke, because
Yeah.
if the world that we're supposed to inhabit in our minds here, a lightning strike doesn't turn off the power because power flows in the regulator.
Oh no, I get you. I get you on this.
Yeah.
Because it's ridiculous that the lightning strike didn't just destroy the machinery, but instead activated it in specific ways,
Well,
which
I mean,
seems absurd.
even if it didn't destroy the machinery, but have a circuit breaker on a power line works. The whole building.
It also
should've-
struck them directly, so.
But that should have just turned the power off the whole building. It should have actually also destroyed a lot of stuff. But my point is,
no, this is ridiculous.
my point isn't so much the ridiculousness of it. It's that's now an element of story that has to take place. That electronics don't turn off, but they malfunction when a power surge happens. And now we're dealing with a large computer system, which is apparently either the bug or the villain. And if electricity works that way in this world now, that is something that we might actually have to deal with. So it's not so much,
We've
circuit
created
breakers
a
are
society
jokes.
of failed dangerous devices. Fail safe is for wusses.
That's what I'm saying. It's not so much a joke when I keep saying circuit breakers. It's that they're fucking around with stuff that the writer might have to actually write stuff for. Like, we might not get the orange juice ocean. We might get something lightning based, messing with the computers,
We get a Frankenstein moment or something, right?
or the Johnny Five.
I don't think it's gonna be important, but it is definitely silly. So as far as the philosophy of this episode, they didn't really touch on anything. It didn't really involve the elements of it. It's just stuff playing out. This was narrative. This was like trying to pull together the mystery of the actual story that's happening and put together enough details to push towards the conclusion. That definitely made it feel a little weak because it's just setting things up, I think.
I think
That's
it
my
did.
own opinion.
I think it did have. Hold on. I'm gonna bring something up here. I want to bring it up while we're recording. See if I get it. I guess not a great quote about what it is. I think this episode was really about nativism, as I brought up before, because it's the first thing that struck me. And unfortunately, the only quote I can find about the definition of nativism is public agitation for greater safety and higher quality in consumer goods.
That's what the series was all about. Better consumer goods, everybody.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's the whole group's coming together about the vote,
right,
which is the major thing that everyone's going on. It's
right,
just
but
all
my
about the
point
cell
here-
phones, which is a consumer good and the public safety.
right. But my point here was that while someone talked or expressed it, it wasn't actually like the text of what was going on in the episode. It was literally just someone saying something. As instead of it like being demonstrated or a part of the story. Like, I don't think like technology is bad necessarily features into the cranes got struck by freak lightning and freaked out in a freakish way that literally no one predicted.
Well, the problem with that point of view is that action in this show doesn't always dictate what it's about.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like there's different parts of the series. All of them kind of like took a little bit of a backseat, and that's fine. We got essentially a perfectly ordinary B episode of narrative and plot moving forward, compared to like 7 episodes of A plus stuff going on. It's like, okay, so yeah, this maybe this is the lowest.
Well,
episode.
no, I mean,
Oh well.
no. Last episode was the lowest episode. Bread episode did not.
I think Bread episode at least had a point, and it made its point through its short story.
This we talking about. This episode introduced the very narrative of the villain, which is, again, Naderism.
But he wasn't making his point in this episode.
He
He just
literally did. He
gave
just
us
made
a
it
starting
super
position.
fast. He made his point. He just made it super fast while doing things in an animated fashion. It was very distracting.
All right, so tip to everyone out there: if you're going to philosophize, don't also do it while dancing.
I do want to bring up, because it is, I keep bringing up Naderism. It's very poignant to why or where I got it from. One of my favorite novels is called Eon by Greg Bear.
Mhm.
And in the novel, World War III happens, basically. It
Of
happens,
course.
in fact, it happens,
As it does.
it happens twice, in fact. Because you see, an asteroid comes and it orbits Earth, and it causes destabilization behind nations as they each try to claim authority over what's inside of it, because it actually comes from a future parallel Earth where World War III actually also happened. But
Mhm.
the political alignment inside of the survivors that survived World War III comes down to people who believe in technology as the future. People like modify their bodies, upload their brains to like an internet sort of thing. High technology, basically. And a naderist society, which believes in agriculture, agrarian systems of beliefs, things like that, that technology should advance to only a certain level, and beyond that is too much for humans to control.
Yeah. I do want to just go ahead and say, like, in terms of like the naming of points of view, I feel like Naderism is just like trying to steal primitivism.
Well,
But I mean, I don't really care what it
well,
is.
it's based on Ralph Nader, who protested against nuclear energy back when
Mhm, mhm.
most of the nuclear reactors in the United States were being brought online. So it was very much a moment in time, and the person who was about it, because he was a politician in the U.S. government at the time.
Right, but it's still the perspective like these tools are the problem, and if we didn't have these tools, we would be better off.
Right, right. But the difference there is that primitivism goes back. That it's a number of degrees, right?
Yeah.
You could probably put these all under a large a dome, and then say, okay, we go back to primitivism. We have nativism. We have
Right, and of course, like the best critique here of primitivism is that it's not necessarily the tools that are the problem, it's the structures of society around us that are. Even if those structures make these tools, the end products aren't necessarily what the problem was.
see. Here's
And we can repurpose tools to do other things and make things better.
that's the defining problem with certain philosophies and philosophy in general. If you think about it, is
Mhm.
that it's not so much about, okay, I design a philosophy that's based around our problem is tools. Mankind is not made to use nuclear
It's
weapons because nuclear weapons will kill us all, and we can't be responsible enough for that sort of thing. And it's like, okay, that's general, right? Fine. And then you have another philosophy that says, well, it's not about the mechanism of the tools themselves. It's about how we, as a people, and our forms of government, right? And it
right.
all
The
comes down
critique here
to
is that
I'm not
it misses the
critiquing.
forest for the
You
trees.
gotta let me finish, Griff.
Sure, sure,
I'm
sure.
saying I'm not. You couldn't worse than my math critique. The problem is that philosophy is always about the people, and the
Mhm,
people, and we as people are hard to understand, which is why there's so many philosophies that don't match up with each other. And I think that's the problem
Right,
with
right.
philosophy itself, is that there's no, God, what's the physics?
Unifying theory.
Yeah, there's no unifying theory of people because people
Mhm,
are different, despite the fact that it can only be a certain number of us. I mean,
mhm.
a certain numerical diversity to us.
They can only be one.
Well, no, there's the concept of the Tipler point, which is at the end of time we'll all be recreated by a supercomputer at some point that's trying to simulate
Hell yeah.
reality, but that there's only a certain number of humans that can be
Mhm.
simulated because we're just not that much about us that can be different. You could simulate every memory you could ever have, and every lifetime you could ever have. At a certain point, it's not infinite; it's finite.
So,
So,
how do you feel being one of the few people who actually gets to be simulated?
I mean, That goes into the concept of consciousness, right? It would simulated me and me now have the same consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
And does that consciousness then extend to an extension of me now? Is that not a copy of me in the future, just a copy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean anything to me if I don't exist anymore?
Right. This is like a huge tangent into just like existentialism at all. You know.
I mean, this is the only show I can ever imagine you're going to get that on. So,
Oh, probably. I'm sure. But hey, you know, if I'm Mia and I'm here, I'm still doing things. Who cares? That's my existentialism argument right there.
well, I think
I'm really simple on that front.
I
But
mean, the argument would be that you only
backing
have
it
a
up like
limited number
12
of times.
steps. But yeah, but backing it up 12 steps, primitivism, nativism, and like that whole bucket of philosophy there, is definitely one that misses the forest for the trees. And so, uh, when I said like previously, like, oh, this philosophy feels really weak at the outset, I wonder if maybe that's intentional because they are in fact set up to be philosophically defeated at the end of the next episode. That the entire point is that the main trio are going to come in and go, wait, no, that's actually totally wrong.
Yeah, I don't think our main trio is the type of people that are going to have a philosophical debate about the state of being or why your point of view is wrong, especially when the dude seems to be
Look,
about taking down their style of life.
all I'm going to say is Blue has a very impactful kinetic argument to make.
And it doesn't seem like Red is going to be arguing verbally either. The only one that's good at verbal arguments is Green, who is, I don't know, he seems
Right.
out of it at the moment.
Right. None of these three have like gotten together and said, "This is our problem. Here's what our discussion points are. Let's go ahead and organize this." They don't do that. That's one, not who they are, and two, not how the story is working.
And again,
Each of them is expressing their viewpoints through their actions,
I very much
and so it
dislike
ultimately comes
Red's
to the
whole
conflict
thing.
points of their perspectives.
I'd very much dislike Red's whole thing this episode as well. I don't know why they did the hacking is boring, so let's do something about that.
Oh yeah, the abstraction stuff where he like does a full VR dive, but it's not actually happening.
But yeah, but I mean, because he meets Asumi there, and it's like, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, that was some high grade symbolism right there, I guess.
Well, because it means that if he is imagining himself hacking like he is, right,
He
and
poured a
Asumi
Monster
imagines
Energy
herself
on himself to explode into hacker nonsense. It was great.
I'm
love
saying
it.
if he sees himself in hackerspace that way, and that's how he's experiencing what he's doing at the keyboard, and Asumi sees herself in virtual whatever, interacting with objects that way, inside of her shell, what the hell does that mean?
We'll find out.
I don't
Maybe
think we
they'll
will.
get absorbed into the virtual world. Who knows?
I feel like that was an artistic choice, not a writer's choice. I don't think that we will find out. I think that was just a thing that we had to grit our teeth.
It's a thing that happened, and then we move on.
Yeah, but I'm trying to hold this show to a higher standard.
That is perfectly fair. Keep doing that.
Well, I mean, it's more so than the other shows we have. I've already expressed my problems with Bisco that we're currently reacting to, and I'm very verbal about Gundam. But this show has been like well, I'm saying this show has been a thought provoker so far. Make you think about what people are going through and their experiences and what side of things, different points of view might fall upon. But then you hit us with one episode where we start staring at breasts all day, and then another episode where we have this weird hacker montage. It's like you're just sloping down.
Yeah. Hopefully the next episode will give us an incredibly dynamic and impactful conclusion. That's what I'm hoping for then.
I'm hoping against that. I don't want any impactful conclusions. I want a debate or a referendum.
Some high sort of impact debate.
Hell,
again,
maybe
kinetic argument.
Maybe if everybody goes on their phones and votes, and it turns into that end scene where they just go in front of all RGB and say, "We love you, we love you," whatever they did at the end of Evangelion.
They take
the TV show.
It's congratulations.
There we go. I couldn't remember. It was some sort of affirmation. I couldn't remember what the exact one was.
You did it, Shinji. You overcame Well, I guess your anxiety talking with people. Congratulations.
Your father issues. You overcame your father issues.
Oh no, we just don't. We just forget about those. Don't worry about them.
I mean, into the long run, I vastly prefer the TV show ending to every other ending. I don't know. I haven't watched the last 3 movies.
I haven't seen anything else outside like the one series, and you know what? Honestly, that's enough.
But, I mean, the movies are better animated. I've seen like clips from
if
movies.
I want more Evangelion, I'm gonna go play the N64 game.
I'm gonna say this also while we're on recording. If you like Evangelion and you want something better, watch Ra-Zephon. That is a better show with a lot more emotional kick to it.
Theta seal of approval there. Go watch it. All right. And as for today, I think that's probably about all the discussion we got in us. So I've been Griffin. This has been Theta, and we'll catch you for the next time in the exciting conclusion. See you, everybody. Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?